Welcome, everyone. You have joined the NAMI Johnson County First Tuesday Educational Seminar, and we are about to begin with Katherine Melton. But first, I wanted to walk through a few different announcements that we have going on with our organization. If you are new to NAMI in Johnson County, we do a number of things. Our first off activity is we love to support people who live with a mental health condition or those who are a support to one. And we do in-person and virtual support groups. We also have connection recovery support groups and also a family support group. We also have education classes. So we will be launching a family to family class. That'll be starting on Thursday, June 13th. That'll be in Lenexa. So registration for everything you hear tonight is going to be on our website, and we will put those links in the chat as well. We love to advocate for people who live with a mental health condition, and one way we do that is we have a resource line. So it's a non-crisis line. It's just for local resources, but if you want to call that line, you can talk to someone here that can help out with any challenges you may have or get some resources to care. And then also we do events and presentations just like this one, where we want to educate our community and encourage them as they walk this walk. And we have many volunteer opportunities. So if you're interested in serving with NAMI Johnson County, I would be more than happy to talk with you about that. My name is Kelly Jackson. I didn't introduce myself earlier. Sorry. I'm the executive director. And so let me walk through a few upcoming events. You know, May as Mental Health Month is always very busy. And of course, many different partners are having a number of events around town. So we're going to highlight a few of those. But our walk is like our number one community event and our fundraiser for all of our programs. And so we would love to invite you to come out to the walk, and it's going to be on Saturday, June 1st, from 10 o'clock to about 11:30 or so. We will start check-in at 9. You're welcome to come anytime around 9 to hang out and meet the vendors and have some coffee and snacks, a little bit of breakfast, and then we will start our program at 10 o'clock. But this is at Sarcopar Trails, which is on 87th Street and Lackman in Lenexa. It's a fantastic park, and I'm sure the weather's going to be beautiful. It'll be a great event. So please come out. I will post the walk website if you wanted to register to make a donation or to walk or join a team. It is open. So please join a team or come walk with us. It's going to be a fantastic event. And of course, if you'd like to make a donation, that would keep all of our programming free, and it's a way to serve our community. So we would appreciate that as well. All right. So our next First Tuesday that we will have scheduled is going to be on June 4th, and we're going to have an In Our Own Voice presentation. This is where we have a number of individuals who live with a mental health condition, and they're telling their story of crisis to recovery. It is an incredibly encouraging and hopeful time and presentation, and I hope you join us. We'll do this virtual on June 4th at 7 o'clock, and like I said, all of these registration links can be found on our website, and I will put them in the chat as well so that you can click on those and get registered for them. And then next week, we have a great event with Chicken and Pickle in Overland Park, and this is called the Spread Hope event. They are going to be inviting out a group called Art as Mentorship, and this is where they're teaching young people and teens and children all different types of art in regards to really helping with their mental health. So the kids are going to be performing in a band. They're going to have a lot of great vendors out there. So we want to encourage you to come out. It's a $5 donation to come, and we will have a mental health panel. So we've got a number of our volunteers that will be speaking on the panel, as well as community leaders and people in the arts community as well. So it's going to be a great event. It's next Wednesday from 5 to 11, but the panel will be at 6, and then the music will start at 7. So we would love to have you out there. It's a $5 donation, and you can register online. And like I said, I'll put those links in there for you. And Chicken and Pickle has also been so gracious to choose us as their charity to give their proceeds to in regards to their mental health merchandise this month. So they're selling these t-shirts that say on the front, I've got mine on, "You are enough." And on the back, it says, "Dear person behind me, the world is a better place with you in it. Love the person in front of you." So this is a really encouraging sweet shirt. It's $25. All the proceeds come to NAMI Johnson County. And then of course we have the bracelets for $1.50. So all of those can get picked up at Chicken and Pickle in Overland Park. And so we would love your support with that. And of course, our website is namijoco.org. We would love to stay in touch. We do have weekly e-newsletters that will have all of this information and registration links. So if you'd like to sign up for that, you're more than welcome to write that in the chat. I'd be happy to add you to that list. And then we also have that resource line, which I talked about before. And then of course our social media accounts. So I have the honor to introduce Katherine, our guest speaker for tonight. And she has been on the NAMI board for quite a few years, and she is a fantastic leader at Johnson County Mental Health. And she also has a nonprofit named Integrative Wellness Coaching. So I'm excited that she is going to share her passion and gift. And like I said, we will be working through the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, and then also make sure you mute yourself. We'll be happy to answer our questions as we go or when she finishes with the presentation. And don't forget to add those questions in the chat box. All right, without further ado, here's Katherine.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here tonight and to have the opportunity to talk about the joy of movement. And for some of us, when we hear the joy of movement, as I get ready to share my screen, when we hear that, we sometimes think, well, I really don't enjoy moving my body. I really don't enjoy getting engaged in that way. And that is not uncommon. And so the hopes for today, and again, I'm going to get my screen shared. The hopes for today is that you learn some new strategies, some new ways in which you can find that joy, and that you can really get that integrated into your life in a way that aligns with what I say your love language, in a way that fills your cup, and in a way that you enjoy. A few quick housekeeping items that I want to go ahead and mention. This session is being recorded. You all would have gotten a message that notified you of that. Given that, again, please feel free to leave your camera on if you wish. You can also turn it off. It's totally up to you, whatever feels safe and comforting. Additionally, we are going to have opportunities for engagement. We're going to do 3 different workouts together. Doesn't require a lot of movement. There's like chair yoga, chair stretching, things like that. I encourage you, again, you can take your camera off and you can watch it and not engage. You can engage to the level that feels best for you. But the hope is that even by watching, and if you choose to not participate in that, you still get new ideas of things that you can do at home for free, and that hopefully will be fun for you. So again, my name is Katherine. I am the consultant over at Integrated Wellbeing Consulting. I'm also the staff development specialist over at Johnson County Mental Health Center. A little bit about me, so you know the perspective that I'll be bringing into the conversation today. My background educationally is in both public health and mental health. And so I'm going to be merging those two today to talk about the ways in which movement impacts our mental health, and the ways in which we can make it fun, and the ways that we can integrate it in a healthy and safe way into our life. So what are some of the questions that we're going to answer for you today? One of the questions that we often get is, what does even movement mean? We have an idea in our head based on societal norms and culture of what movement and exercise is. And we tend to, when we hear movement, think of exercise. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that difference. We're going to talk about and answer the question of how can movement support our mental well-being. You're going to notice that I use the word well-being instead of wellness, and that's because well-being really is all-encompassing. It's looking at how our financial wellness and our spiritual wellness and our occupational environmental wellness all comes together, and to bring together our well-being, versus wellness really focuses on physical health. And so really looking to take that comprehensive, holistic approach in the conversation we have today. We're going to also talk about some strategies that you can use to incorporate more movement into your day in a way that doesn't feel overwhelming and in a way that feels attainable for you, no matter where you're at in your journey with movement. We're going to talk about and try some different strategies. The ones that we're incorporating today into the session are, I believe, all under 6 minutes. And so, again, what this reinforces is that if you have just a short break in the day, what are some of those things that you can do to get your body moving without feeling like you have to allocate an hour and a half to your movement? And then we're going to talk about some resources that are available to you and some next steps. So that is our plan for today. And again, if you have questions at any point, do feel free to put those in the chat and we'll make sure that those get addressed. So what is movement? What are we looking at here? What are we talking about and why are we having a conversation today? So I want to start by providing the definition that you would find if you go online and you look at Merriam-Webster. They define movement as the act or process of moving in a particular instance or manner of moving. That's how they describe it. How we describe it at Integrated Wellbeing Consulting, and when I go and I present on movement and mental health and engaging in those activities, we look at movement as any enjoyable and sustainable act of moving your body in a way that feels fulfilling to you, in a way you enjoy, and that really supports your mind, your body, and your soul. So again, we look at it from that comprehensive standpoint. We also look at it from the perspective of all of us will enjoy movement differently. We'll have different things that we enjoy. We'll go through different stages in life where maybe one activity is something that we really enjoy. And then maybe a few years from now, that enjoyment changes and we're engaging in a new habit or lifestyle. And so we really want to look at it from that widespread, comprehensive approach. So let's talk about movement and mental health. And a lot of this may be things that you already know. There may be some new things in here that you can take with you. But what we know from research, and more research is starting to come out, is that exercise really has been proven to ease symptoms of mental health conditions. This can be depression, anxiety, panic. One of the things I'll put on that as well is that you're going to see mixed research out there in terms of what they call HIIT training, which is high intensity interval training, versus low impact, low intensity, and how that can impact your mental health. So we'll kind of give our perspective on that. But again, all of this information you're going to get today, we encourage you to further that conversation with your health provider to assess what is best for you and your body and where you're at. We also know that getting movement in your day builds connection and it builds resilience. And so the connection piece comes in both from the social connection. If you've got a workout buddy that you can do things with, maybe you're taking a break at work and you're going to go for a walk. So there's the social connection piece, but we also know that working out and getting movement can actually help increase your likelihood to seek those connections and to receive those connections as well. And then we also know that movement can be very beneficial to building resilience. I always like to say that we are all born resilient, and it's something that can be learnable as well. And it's, like if we are working out and we're building those muscles because we're making habits and continuing to work at it. It's the same with resilience. The more we practice those resiliency skills and the more we're working it, the more resilient that we get. And so that movement is a big component of that as well. And as most of us know, we also know that when we get movement, and again, it doesn't have to be the high intensity interval training in order for this to happen. But we also know movement helps release the feel-good endorphins. And so initially, when I first started in the public health field about 15 years ago, we were, kind of taught that a lot of those endorphins really kick in when you go for that long run or you're doing something high intensity. And we know that just getting your body moving for short periods of time. It can be going for a walk, it can be stretching, that's enough movement to still get those endorphins released. And so I always want to make sure that I discuss that as a component of this. Movement's also great. One of the things I always want to mention is that it can help reduce worry, and it can also help reduce rumination. And the reason I say reduce is because a lot of these things that we talk about today, movement is amazing as a supplement to any treatment plan, mental health plan that you have in place with your provider. I'm not advocating today for this to replace anything, but to instead supplement and add in. And that's because a lot of these skills can really help reduce the impact and some of those signs and symptoms that we may experience with a mental health condition, but it's not going to rid things completely. So I always want to make sure that I say that. But I do know when I work with individuals that getting movement in, like for example, a light, low intensity yoga has been very beneficial, or meditation-based movement has been very beneficial for rumination, especially. And then the other thing, again, that I want to highlight with this is that it's really important to note that we're not advocating today for movement to replace anything within your treatment plan. I use treatment broadly, so treatment, again, can be working with a provider. We don't want it to replace anything. We just want you to take new skills, new strategies into your daily life to just support your well-being in collaboration with your provider. So additional things, as I've already mentioned, we do know, again, movement really increases that social interaction in terms of how we're engaging with ourselves, how we're engaging back with the world. We also know it decreases stress levels. It allows us to have that space to get movement and to release any of the things that we're feeling in that day that we're just needing to get out of our body and to just relinquish and let go of. And movement is a great tool for that. We also know that movement really helps with sleep hygiene and quality of sleep. Now, I want to put a little caveat on that, and that being it's not recommended that you do like a heavy workout or any of those things right before bed. And so, maybe you come home from work and that might be your prime time to get some movement in, or during your day or before the workday, whatever works best for you. But in terms of that improving sleep hygiene, having better quality sleep, recommend that you don't do it right before bed. Stretching, though, is a great way to kind of just get ready for bed, ease the mind, and have that quality of sleep. We also know that movement creates healthy and effective self-care and coping strategies. So when I talk about self-care and coping, I want to make sure that I split these two things apart and talk a little bit about that. So self-care is going to be the actions that we take to maintain a current level of mental well-being. It's going to be what I like to phrase it as is we are in a kayak and the waters are nice and calm and relaxing. And it's going to be the activities that we do to stay in those calm waters. On the other hand, we have our coping. And so now we're kayaking and we're getting ready. And all of a sudden we are in turbulent waters. We are almost whitewater rafting and we're trying to get through it. Coping is going to be the strategies that we put into place to get us back to those calmer waters. But both of those, self-care and coping, those are going to be things that we have to practice ongoingly. And we have a lot of research out there that supports the benefits that movement can have with that as being a strategy for, again, easing the symptoms of mental health conditions, improving mental well-being, building resilience, and helping to overcome any of the challenges that we may be experiencing in a way that feels healthy and supportive to us. But again, as we look at self-care and coping, make sure that we find those things that we're doing in alignment with our love language. So again, if we are doing a self-care coping strategy and we're calling that movement, we're like, okay, well, my self-care, I'm going to go for a 5-mile run, but maybe I don't enjoy running. Well, that's going to then be a well-being strategy for me. So important to get movement. But again, when we're talking self-care and coping, do the things that fill your cup, the things that you enjoy and look forward to doing, and the things that you can leave feeling fulfilled and at peace with doing as well. So I always want to make sure I mention that. Research also shows that short periods of movement, and that can be 15-minute windows, multiple times throughout the day, can have a positive impact on our mental well-being and our well-being as a whole. And so an example of this, about 6 months ago, I had torn my meniscus and I wasn't able to do a whole lot of movement. And so, I would go and I would just walk up and down the driveway for 15 minutes and I would come back in and I would get done what I need to get done. And I would go walk the driveway, whatever that needed to be. I would do some chair yoga or chair stretching. And so, not high intensity, it was low impact. It was things that I could do despite having that tear. And so, I always want to mention again, and I'll say it throughout the session today, that there's a lot of things that we can do that are functional movement, things that maybe we're already doing in our daily life that maybe we didn't realize was movement, and having that positive impact on our well-being. And then lastly, but not least, movement is part of our mental well-being plan. It's not all of it. And so again, this is going to integrate into the things that you're doing. It's going to integrate in with working with a therapist, working with your health provider. If it's medications, incorporating it in with that. It's going to incorporate with a nutrient dense lifestyle. And so it's going to be part of the whole person approach. And that's what we're really here to talk about today. So we have a video that we want to share. This is our Harvard psychologist. Her name is Dr. Kelly McGonigal. And she is absolutely incredible and amazing. She has the book, The Joy of Movement. And so if you are on the call, I do want to mention, make sure you put your name in the chat, because that's how I'm going to pull names after the session ends. And we're going to do a drawing for one book of The Joy of Movement, which is her book. But she's wonderful, and she has done several podcasts, several news articles and recordings about the research she's done around movement and how it impacts mental health and how it impacts our social wellness and all of those things. And so we have a little bit of a short clip for you that I'm going to go ahead and play. We tried it earlier and it was not picking up volume the best, so I am going to turn on closed captions. And feel free to follow along with this video if you are able. All right. So that's just a snippet from Dr. Kelly McGonigal. And again, one of the things I want to reiterate is that by no means are we saying that this is a replacement for anything that your provider is working with you on. But hopefully you got a little bit more information today. And I'm so sorry about the sound, but hopefully you got a few ideas of the hope molecules and how that can impact our wellness. Okay, so let's talk about some strategy. So we talked about what movement is, we talked about how it impacts from a introductory level, how it impacts our mental well-being. But what are some of those strategies that we can do to incorporate more movement into our routine? One of the things that I am a firm, strong believer in is doing things in moderation, not starting too fast. I am a former collegiate athlete. And for me, when I transitioned out of athletics and into the professional field, I wanted and expected myself to be able to function athletically and through my movement and exercise at the same level that I was when I was rowing. And that immediately I was then unable to sustain my exercise and movement because I wasn't finding joy in it because I was expecting something that I had been doing several years before. And so I'm a big believer in finding the things that we enjoy, doing things in moderation, taking it slow, and enjoying the process. So, again, first strategy, as I just said, is take it slow. Build yourself up. There is nothing wrong with starting with 10 seconds, 30 seconds, then we're going to build to a minute, and then we're going to build to a minute and a half, and then allowing your body to get acclimated to that movement, build those habits and those healthy routines, and getting that established. I also encourage everyone in terms of strategies to do cup filling activities. So again, a lot of us, including myself, were taught in earlier forms of health education and physical education that exercise was doing an elliptical, going for a run, swimming laps, or, doing a high intensity interval training. And that's really movement so much more than that. So maybe for you, it's getting out and playing pickleball with friends, or going and doing a nature walk or a hike around a lake. And so finding those things that you can look forward to doing as it relates back to movement. Because if we look forward to it, we're going to be more likely to sustain it and apply it into our daily life. Also, keep healthy expectations. I talked about that a little bit ago. Have healthy expectations of where you're at and where you're starting, have healthy expectations of where you're going, and practice that in moderation. Those are going to be two really key points, both from a perspective of sustaining movement, but also not injuring your body. We also, again, keeping it fun. Find the things that you enjoy. With that, I pair it with finding a buddy. It's a lot easier for a lot of us to cancel on ourselves. It's a lot harder to cancel on somebody else. And so if you want to do movement, but you're also wanting to build that social connection and interaction, you also want to make sure that you are following through with those plans. Find a buddy, bring somebody in that you enjoy. That would be a fun, healthy way to get together and find that movement as part of your day. Also, find ways to naturally incorporate movement. I'm not going to get too far into this because we do have some examples later on. But one that's not talked about later on the slides is even finding ways, maybe you're brushing your teeth and you're stepping in place. Or we had one person who at their desk, they would raise it, and for them, they would stand and work. And then they would just every once in a while just do, leg ups at their standing desk and just get their body moving. There's stationary pedals that can go under your desk or in front of your couch or chair, where you can just, be sitting there and watching your show, and maybe you're just pedaling on the wheels. So there's a lot of things that you can do to naturally incorporate it. I also talk a lot about establishing SMART goals, so specific, measurable, attainable, reliable, and timely, and establishing those SMART goals around movement. And so a lot of us, again, that's going to help keep us in check with those expectations. But I know from myself, having those SMART goals is really important for me to make sure that what I'm doing is aligning with healthy expectations, things that can be sustained, things that I enjoy. It gives me something to work towards. And so that has been, for a lot of people, really beneficial, but also not a strategy that works for everyone. So find what works for you. I also love talking about, when it comes to movement, focusing on the NSV. And NSV stands for non-scale victories. And so sometimes we get into this place of, I'm going to practice movement because I want to achieve X, Y, and Z with my physical wellness. I do a lot of work around eating disorders. So you'll notice as I talk about non-scale victories, I'm not going to talk about weight or scales or any of that. But sometimes we can get into that place where we are fixating on numbers as it relates to our well-being. And so find the things where you're like, okay, I started moving, I'm tracking the benefits and how I'm feeling as a result. And I'm noticing that I'm not ruminating as much. I notice that when I'm looking back at my sleep tracker, that I am sleeping a lot better. I notice that I feel more engaged in life. I notice that I'm feeling more hopeful or more resilient. So track some of those positive, healthy, beneficial outcomes along the way, and keep a note of that somewhere you can see it as that reminder of all of the amazing things that are coming as a result of your hard work and your dedication to getting movement into your lifestyle. We also talk about creating healthy and sustainable habits and routines. There's a great book out there called Atomic Habits. So that's a great thing that you can read if you're interested. But the more we practice, and there was actually some research that came out not too long ago that actually said it takes 60 plus days now to establish a routine and a habit. And so that's going to vary for everyone. Some it may be shorter, some it may be longer, but really working to keep that up and to keep practicing because nothing's going to be quote easy right off the bat. It's going to take time, and that again is going to build that resilience. Another fun way that we talk about getting more movement is getting creative. So find the things that you enjoy and then maybe find a way to make a game out of it. And so one of the things I talk about here is I was working with an individual a while ago, and one of their childhood games that they loved was Twister. And so we turned Twister into a movement. And so if they landed on yellow, that would equate to doing an exercise or a movement that they enjoyed. For them, they really loved stretching. So the yellow was a certain stretch, certain body movement. And they had so much fun engaging in that activity. They could then also bring in friends to do it with them. And so find ways to get creative to build your own forms of movement in a way that you enjoy. Also, there are brain breaks on YouTube. That's what they're called, or just brain breaks. You can look it up. And there's going to be fun ways. They're really created for children. And I can say as an adult, I still really enjoy them. But you can go in and you can do different types of dances. You could do squats. They have all kinds of different things. They're about 15-ish minutes in length. And it really just gets you to that place where you can get some movement, reset, have fun, laugh, enjoy it, and then get going with your day. And then lastly, I talked a little bit about it with Twister, but connect to your inner child. What were those things that you enjoyed as a kid that got your body moving and you were like, oh, I love that. And I would go, one of my things growing up, I loved to go down to the creek and I would walk up and down. I would find rocks. I would do all of those things. And so I'm finding ways to incorporate that back into my life of, going maybe to Shawnee Mission Park and visiting the lake, and find those ways that you can connect to your inner child, the things that you love, the things that brought you joy and happiness and laughter, and find ways to bring that back into your life. Okay, so for this part of the session, we're going to just try a couple different quick movements together. I know the audio isn't wonderful. This one that we're going to do here is chair yoga. There's actually no talking with it. Feel free to engage to the extent that you want. If you don't want to engage, that is perfectly okay. I do encourage you and challenge you to still watch the video because you're going to get ideas through watching it of different ways that you can incorporate movement, again, just from wherever you're at in a way that's low impact. So we're going to do this together. And again, feel free to turn your cameras off if you'd like, or you can leave them on, whatever feels best for you. And we're going to take, this is a little under 6 minutes. We're going to take the next about 5.5 minutes to do a chair yoga stretch together. All right. So that was about 6 minutes of yoga with Adrienne. She does, again, this is yoga at your desk, chair yoga and stretching. So using the chat, I would love it if you feel comfortable to just put in the chat kind of what you experienced with that. Do you feel like you're more hopeful? Do you feel more energized? Do you feel more relaxed? Maybe you didn't enjoy it. But if you feel comfortable, I would love to hear in the chat kind of how you experienced that. I Did I lose you all?
This is Sharon. I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. For some reason, my Zoom did something. I don't know what. So while I get this reshared,
You're back.
sorry. So while I reshare my screen, I think I saw a few more comments coming in. Felt great, wasn't maybe quite so easy to do, but felt good. Very relaxing, great for the muscles, relaxed and hopeful. That with continued use, much more mobile. Love it. So that's all wonderful. And again, one of the things that I want to highlight with that as I reshare my screen is that again, that takes 6 minutes and it's something that we're able to bring into our life. We can do it at wherever we're at. A lot of that's stretching based and something that we can grow within. So I'm going to reshare. Bear with me. I don't know why I lost my Zoom. I appreciate your patience with me. I was saying earlier to Kelly, I love technology and it makes me super nervous. So thank you for bearing with me through that. Okay, so that was again yoga at your desk. Where we found this was just on YouTube. And so whenever you have cell phone service or internet connection or any of those, this is a free option, a free resource for you. And we'll make sure that this information is both on our Nami Johnson County on demand YouTube page, but you'll also get links after the session. Okay, so since it sounds like the audio is not working, I'm really sad this one won't work. So I'm gonna make sure the link goes out. But this is an example for practice. So this is a 4-minute video. It's again on YouTube. I really enjoy I really enjoy it. And it's Footloose and it's a dance that you can do and they guide you through it. And I just always say I am really not a strong dancer, but I have a smile on my face. I laugh a lot through it and I enjoy it. And I just always say, don't worry about the choreography. Don't worry about hitting the movements right on with them. Just move your body, dance however it feels like it comes to you. And that can even be outside of YouTube. Make a playlist on Pandora or YouTube or Spotify. And maybe it's getting a CD out. I know I'm dating myself with that, but grab a CD out and dance to your favorite music. You can turn it on while you're cooking and have a little dance party. So whatever you can do, you can find ways to bring this into your daily routines. And again, just have fun with it. Some of the most fun you can have is when we're not trying to be perfect at movement or perfect at something. Okay, so this other one again, I'm gonna send links. I want to be respectful of the fact that it's hard to hear the sound. But this is another example in terms of practice. And again, you'll get all of these links. This is a 5-minute chair stretch. So the last one we did that we just did with yoga with Adrienne, that was really based in yoga. And so you notice that she was finding ways to adapt yoga to the chair setting. This one is purely a morning stretch, really getting yourself and getting your body energized for the day. You're getting the blood moving. You're just getting your body set, and you're setting the tone for how your day is going to be. So one of the things that you can do with this, if you are up for the challenge, they always say starting your morning with direct sunlight is a great way for your mental health. And so maybe you go outside and you bring a chair out with you and you do a 5-minute morning stretch while letting the sun shine on you. I know we've had a lot of rain lately. But let that the sun shine, stretch it out, maybe bring out your decaf tea and enjoy some tea, and you give yourself that time in the morning. But find some ways to just stretch and end your day with that as well. So again, I call it my patio of peace. And at night, I like to go outside. I've got a honey chamomile decaf tea, and you can go out and enjoy while we have it, the cooler temperatures at night. Look at the stars, stretch and just kind of wind down in that way. It's a great way to just calm the mind. And again, going back to what we talked about earlier, calm the worry, calm the anxieties, calm the rumination, and kind of set the tone for that healthy sleep hygiene, healthy sleep routines. So again, I'm so sorry about the audio. I don't know why it's not working, but I'll make sure those links get out to you. So some additional activities. So I've talked about now, we've kind of progressed through, we've done some practice. We talked about what movement is. We've talked about kind of some strategies for incorporating it more into our day. And now I want to transition into talking about what some of those activities could be, because all of this information is great. But if we then leave here today and we go, okay, well, I've learned how it's beneficial. I learned that it's something that I should consider doing, but I still don't know what I can do, then this session really isn't helpful. So I wanted to give you some ideas of things that you can do and to incorporate into your day, to give a try and see what works for you. And I think I have this on the challenge, but I'm going to go ahead and say it an additional time. And I'm going to say, find the things that you enjoy and then create a movement jar. And what that is you get it can be a mason jar, it can be a bowl, it can be whatever you have. You don't need to go buy anything. And maybe get like strips of paper and cut it up. And every strip of paper has an activity on it that's movement based that you enjoy or that you want to try. Because if you're like me and it's nighttime, and I know sometimes when I come home from work, I have decision fatigue, and I want everyone to tell me what to do because I cannot think or process anymore. And so the movement jar allows me to pull out an activity, and that's what I'm doing. The decision making's out of it. I know what's in there are things that I'm interested in, things that I enjoy, and I don't have a decision process within that. So that could be a tool if you find that you maybe get stuck in that sit and spin of what should I do? What do I enjoy? That can help with that process. So some of the activities. There's forest bathing. This is incredible. There's some great tools on Amazon to help with that. There's also some great YouTubes. Forest bathing is really a meditative walk in nature. It allows for you to experience some of that grounding, some of that connecting to the outdoors. It's a great tool. Actually, there's some good research out there around it as well. Doing nature walks. You can make it a scavenger hunt if you go with friends or go with, if you have kiddos in your life, creating with them in advance a scavenger hunt together and go, okay, you pick 3 things, I'll pick 3 things, and you pick 3 things. We're going to make our scavenger hunt together. And then we're going to go to, I saw Linda put in the chat, we're going to go to Lake Olathe, and we're going to go out there and we're going to find these things together as we're moving. And so again, it creates fun, it creates buy-in for everyone because everyone's had a little piece in that in creating that scavenger hunt. There's also YouTube videos. Again, it can be walking, it can be dance. There's a lot of fun ones around Halloween that go up. Yoga, Pilates, stretching, all of those things are on there at no cost. Another way of just bring it into your day, and I know this is something that we all hear, is just parking a little bit farther away. I always say, just make sure it's in a safe way as well, taking in mind your safety, taking the stairs wherever you go and as you're able. I like to do at work, the 50-10 method. I don't know if that's actually what it's called, it's just what I call it. But I've now moved to changing my meetings from an hour to 50 minutes. And then that 10-minute window that would have been the hour meeting can go to movement, it can go to self-care, it can go to coping. And then there's no having to rush from one thing to the next, and it allows you to reset. So a 50-10 could be an option there. Walking, keeping in mind your safety. It could be swimming. And again, it doesn't have to be swimming laps. It could just be going and doing water aerobics. It can be just swimming for your leisure. It can be whatever that needs to be for you. Playing outside, gardening. Gardening is great. We're going into gardening season. It can be yard work. And then also another fun way to engage our exercise dice. Now you can buy some on Amazon, but they're going to have exercises like burpees and do a lot of crunches. Well, those aren't always fun for everyone. And so I always say you can buy some or you can make your own. And every side of the dice has a different movement that you enjoy. And you roll the dice, and if it lands on doing a 5-minute dance, you're going to do the 5-minute dance. Or maybe it lands on doing some stretches, and so that's going to be your movement, and you make a game of that. So again, just some different ideas of ways that you can incorporate it in. But a lot of times we find that we're already getting movement into our day already. We just may not recognize it and associate it as movement because we've always associated exercise more as the movement piece. The other thing that I want to mention here, just as a little bonus tip, is that consider trying low intensity, low impact exercises. So this tip can really go either way, because depending on who you talk to and the research that they're looking at, there's research that could go either way. But there is a lot of research out there that shows that high intensity interval training, the workouts that get your heart rate really high, can actually induce those feelings of anxiety and panic attacks. Because if you think about it, if you're experiencing a panic attack, you're going to have that rapid heart rate. And so if you're doing a high intensity workout, and you'll experience that same rapid heart rate, that can actually induce some potentially anxiety and panic attack. Now, on the flip side of that, so some researchers say, move away from that. It doesn't get your low impact, low intensity, keeps your cortisol levels down. We do know that from research. However, some researchers will say as well that they actually recommend the high intensity so that you can develop tolerance. So to that feeling. Now, so for me, I will give my disclosure of how I choose it for myself. I choose to do the low intensity because I personally, even if the high intensity does develop tolerance, I don't really want to put myself in a situation of having to experience that in order to build that tolerance. That's a personal preference. And so really find, again, what works best for you. Do that in collaboration with your medical provider. Because again, maybe you find that high intensity is where you thrive. And if that's the case, that's wonderful for you. If you find that low intensity, low impact is better for you, that's wonderful for you as well. Find what works best for you, because everything today that we talk about is going to be unique to you. There is not a one size fits all. So what are some resources to try? We've got, again, YouTube, some examples that you can look at. Yoga with Adrian, that's who we did a video with. There's also PE with Mr. G. So fun. They will do like Nintendo or Frozen games or Super Mario or any of those, and they will turn it into a brain break movement exercise that adults can do, kids can do. You can do it together. All about, anywhere from 5 minutes to 20 minutes. And every time my friends bring their kiddos over, we do those. You know, I had a friend whose kiddo was dysregulating a little bit, and we were doing that together. We were getting them reset, brought back to the moment. So a lot of fun things you can do. There's Zumba workouts. There's the daily Calm, daily movement, exercises through the Calm app. There's walking videos. There's all kinds of amazing things. As I said earlier, I do come from the eating disorder side as well, which pairs really interesting with my health and physical education background. But one of the things that I want to mention is that as we talk about finding videos on YouTube, make sure you find ones that are embedding body positivity and body positive messages. It's really easy to find videos that are talking throughout the video of you need to burn this number of calories, and if you burn this, then you can eat this. And we want to go away from those. So be careful of what you're watching. So again, the videos that I pulled today, I went through and I vetted every single one. I watched them every second all the way through, because you want to make sure that what is being shared for yourself or with kids, again, are messages that are safe and are promoting self-esteem and body positivity. Additional things, there's Down Dog as an app. It does a lot of yoga if you enjoy yoga. There's Fit On. They have free exercises, or you could pay, I think it's $39.99, I believe, a year. But they do have free exercises, so I always want to mention that. There's also the book, which we're going to do a drawing for. So if you haven't had a chance to put your name in the chat, please do. There's a book, The Joy of Movement by Dr. Kelly McGonigal. It is fantastic. But other things that you can do for resources are look for your local community walks. You could do a community garden. So maybe if you are in an apartment space and don't have space for gardening, I did community gardens at that point. K-State Extension has some great ones. Also find your local community courts. So that could be volleyball, pickleball, basketball, again, with the goal being to have fun and not perfect something. Have fun and enjoy the moment. And then also joining a league. So again, that's a great way to get your body moving and to meet new people and to socialize and have that built-in time. So as we start to come to a closure for today, what are some next steps that we can take? What are some things that we can do? These are going to be my challenges to you that I want to leave you with. And again, you can choose to do 0 of them. You can choose to do all of them or just one of them, whatever feels best for you. But my first challenge in terms of next steps is to make a list. What are those things that you enjoy for movement? And again, thinking movement broadly, not just exercise. What are those things that you enjoy? What are the things that you want to try? So maybe you've always had pickleball on your list and you just maybe haven't had someone to go with, or you haven't joined a team yet. What are those things you want to try and that you can add to your list to do? And then what are those things that you don't enjoy, where you're like, okay, I really don't enjoy that 5-mile run. I'm taking that off the list. I'm not going to put pressure on myself for that to be how I get movement in. Make that list and keep it with you as that inventory, so that you can remember and remind yourself in that moment, oh yes, I loved doing this. And this is what I'm going to do. Because again, if we think about our regulated state, when we are feeling regulated, it is a lot easier for us to recall those things that we enjoy. It's a lot easier for us to make some of those decisions. But when we're in that dysregulated state where we might need that movement more, it's going to be really challenging to recall the things that we've enjoyed or to make the decision on what we're going to do, especially if we're not feeling good and we're really not wanting to get our body moving. To have those predetermined things that we know that we enjoy can be really helpful. My second challenge to you is to identify one thing that you can do tomorrow to get your body moving. Usually I say do something for you tonight. If you want to, you can, but I also recognize we're close, at least for me, close to bedtime. And so I'm going to actually push that off and say, think about something that you can do tomorrow that can get your body moving and write it down. and put it on a sticky note and put it somewhere you're going to see it and say, okay, I'm committing to myself that tomorrow I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Now, if tomorrow comes and you're like, yeah, that's really not cup filling today, that's okay. Mark it off and find something else you can do. We don't want to have that rigid thinking around that. So you can always adapt. My third challenge to you, identify your why for movement and write it down. Why is it that you want to get your body moving? What are those non-scale victories and non-scale goals that you want to work to? And how do those things align with your values? How do those things align with your love language? And then keep note of that. Because when we have challenging days where we don't want to get our body moving, where we don't want to get out and do something, being able to connect back to our why, to our values, and to our purpose can really help. And last but not least, my challenge to you is to sign up for the NAMI Johnson County Walk on June 1st for a number of reasons. A, it's a great cause. B, you're getting your body moving. You're getting your body moving with other people. You're building social connection. And through building that social connection, you're building support and you're breaking stigma. In addition to that, you're building resilience, you're building advocacy, you're getting sunlight from being outdoors. And so, in addition to it just being a great cause, there's a lot of mental well-being support that can come from and benefits that can come from engaging in that way. So I encourage you to enroll, to register on June 1st, and to also find walks beyond that. Because again, even those 5K run walks, a lot of people still go and they walk them with friends and they go get a coffee afterwards. So find those things that you enjoy where you can build community. And again, a lot of those ways that those walks are happening can tie directly back to your why and to your purpose. So for me, I'm a big mental health advocate. Those mental health walks and activities I can tie directly back to what's important to me, which can help me on those days where maybe I just want to stay at home and stay in bed to get out and get engaged. So I want to leave you with a closing message. And I saw this when I was working with an individual, and I really just loved the quote. And it says that the best movement is the one that feels good to you. Only you know what your body enjoys. And so hopefully from today, you found some new strategies, some new ideas. But I hope you also know that that's exactly all of this is. These are ideas for you to take and to find ways to incorporate in a way that feels true and valuable and purposeful to you, and in a way that feels best to you. And again, it's going to be unique to you and not one size fits all. So allow yourself to explore, be adventurous, be creative, continue to learn more about you, continue to learn more about what you enjoy as it relates back to movement. So there's my contact information. I don't know if there are any questions or not, but if so, I'm happy to answer those and happy to hang on the call if there is.
And then we do have our evaluation. So maybe I'll put the evaluation link in the chat. And then if you have questions, you're welcome to ask them directly. But we would really appreciate some great feedback. It's a very short eval. So we would really appreciate that. And then, Katherine, were you planning on doing the drawing for the book while we're here, or were you going to email that out?
I am going to email it. That way I can pull everybody's names.
Perfect. Okay. That works. All right. If you wouldn't mind taking a minute to do that evaluation, we greatly appreciate it.
Where is the evaluation, please?
It's in the
I
link.
just put the chat in, or
Yeah,
put it in the chat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And actually, I'm going to go ahead